Hello, everybody. Welcome to Championship Matchday Predictions number one. We are back for yet another season, and we've got new faces in the division, just as I mentioned last video. And now that league table predictions out the way, let's get on to the real business. Matchday one. There will be good seasons, bad seasons, underwhelming seasons, but we will document it all here with our predictions. So, how excited are you feeling for a new season, Liam?
I'm excited to hopefully win this time round because I recently had to suffer with my forfeit, if you like. So that cost me a breakfast or two. So hopefully I can right the wrongs.
Well, the good thing is that the points are reset to 0 this time. In terms of the points this season, I feel it's better off for it to remain the same as last season. I don't where it's 5 points if you guess the correct scorer, 3 points for getting the correct prediction, and 1 point for getting the correct outcome. And we will count the points this time throughout the video, so there will be a section where it's like points this video and then points overall through the season, so you can sort of like track me and Liam's progress throughout the season. And without further ado, let's get on with the predictions. And you know what, Liam, do you want to have the honours of doing the first prediction this season? And it's Wolves v Blackburn.
Well, this is probably promotion favourite for relegation against relegation favourite. Um, I think the outside noise around Wolves hasn't always been positive throughout the summer. However, my dog's going mental, so I'm just thinking like, what's going on? Um, I'm thinking Wolves, despite this somewhat negative outside noise surrounding the club, it's still better off than Blackburn's. So, while they've got a good manager in Tony Mowbray, did a fantastic job last time round at Ewood Park, but he's not the same Tony Mowbray as we once knew. So I'm, unfortunately for the Blackburn fans, I'm going for a 3-0 home win on the opening Friday night.
Yeah, I think last season was a very tough season for Blackburn, but also very tough in the Premier League for Wolves. And you've seen occasions in the past where teams that have come down from the Premier League recently go on to struggle in the Championship. So you've got the likes of Leicester and Luton. That's recent examples I can think. But you'd like to think the three this season will avoid the trend of one getting relegated. And Wolves, I think, will generally get their act together and be towards the top. But how long will it take for Wolves to get out of their losing mentality in the Premier League? Well, against a team like Blackburn, it's a very good chance for you to get back on track at home, and that's exactly what I've got Wolves to do with a 2-0 home victory. Now, with the next one, Bolton versus Preston. Bolton, a new face in the league, winning the playoffs against Stockport. Preston, mid-table finish. Had a game at Goodison in the Cup. And now we head to Bolton Stadium, the Tough Sheet, where I think Bolton will narrowly win 2-1.
Well, yeah, you've got a new face against certainly not new face. Um, with Preston, I'm not keen on their summer recruitment. I think while they're finally spending a bit of money, but if anything they're matching clubs who are usually lower than them in the table. They're not like spending 10 million here and there. They're just Alfie Devine, good signing to get him permanently. I know Preston fans are chuffed with that, but then what else have they done? They've made a marquee signing, and other than that, they're just losing players or missing out on players. So Bolton to return to the Championship with a very impressive 2-0 home win.
A quick question to you before we move on. How do you think Bolton will fare with the gap between League One and the Championship?
Well, I think what's it the past 3, 4 seasons now? Every team who've gotten promoted from League One have stayed up. Um, so obviously last season you had two sides who were very much up there in the table. But you've had, unless I'm missing one from another moment, you've had Charlton, Wrexham, Birmingham, Oxford, Derby, Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, Plymouth. So as I said, I might have missed one season, but they've all stayed up first year. So I do not see why Bolton cannot stay up. I think they'll be fine. They will be probably no higher than 17th. But Bolton, I think, I favour Bolton more than the other two who came up.
Yeah, I think it's a good occasion for Bolton to come back. They're definitely a club who deserve to be in the Championship, and they don't look out of place in these fixtures. They spent too long in League One, and I think now they're there. I think it's just a case of they're not complacent. They'll be comfortable in the end. But alas, let's move on to the next game, where we have Bristol City v Millwall.
Oh, this would be me, wouldn't it? This is not gonna bode well. Millwall, missed out in the semis to eventual winners Hull City. I've been saying all summer, if there was a season for Millwall to get promoted, it was the one that's just finished. This league is much, much tougher this year. Obviously, you had a non-parachute side win the league, and then a team who are a few years ahead of themselves, albeit with parachute payments, finish second. And then Hull winning the playoffs out of absolutely nothing. Nobody would have expected that. So, in other words, we're going to have Lincoln win the league. Yeah, I think Millwall. I don't think they'll be on a dampener, but they need to keep their heads held high. And it's just going to be a tougher season to push for promotion for them, I think. This is a season where Millwall could fall a bit short. That being said, despite all the promising signings for Bristol City, especially up in the attacking areas, I've gone 0-0.
Yeah, with Bristol City, I think they're going to be a team who will probably take a little bit to get going, to be honest. A pretty lackluster season last season, especially recently in that cup game against Walsall. It's not really a very good result to start the season with, and against Millwall had a strong end to the end of the season, but Hull absolutely done them. But it's Millwall's best season in years. Can they back that up? Well, I do think that Millwall will probably win in this game with a 2-1 win. Now, Charlton versus Derby. It's another cup game which was underwhelming for the visitors, and I think Charlton, it's an interesting one because last season Charlton had a relatively good start. Derby had a relatively bad start. I think with Charlton, they always tend to have good starts in the Championship, and Derby are a bit slow to get going. And judging on cup results pre-season, it's not an encouraging start. So I think Derby won't lose this, but I think they will draw here, 1-1.
Well, for the first time this season, we've put the same scoreline, despite the fact I don't agree with what you said. Derby are slow starters. Charlton did start fast and then just fell away, which, well, to be fair, the only reason they stayed up was because of a couple of points deductions and their fast start. But I don't think Charlton get anywhere near a good a start as they had last season, purely because, again, tougher opponents, tougher sides, better squads, better teams, better clubs, ultimately. But I think Derby are on a bit of a low at the moment. Normally I would have probably tipped them to win this one, but with the investment falling through due to the investor pulling out, I think they'll be a bit down in the dumps. So 1-1.
Now for Middlesbrough v Lincoln.
Um, I have gone a bit weird with this one. I mean, Middlesbrough could win this 5-0 for all I know, but I've gone for a 1-1 draw based on Lincoln's unbeaten form since November, which you can't forget. Despite being a new league and a much tougher division than one they're used to, that doesn't mean anything. Look at the teams they've beaten and look at the teams they've avoided defeat against. Um, they'll be ready for it. I still don't think the two-manager idea is a good one, but I think Lincoln will be starting with a fight, so I'll go 1-1.
Yeah, Middlesbrough is always one that you'd expect to challenge up there. They've got a very good set of players. I really do rate that Lancashire signing. I think if there's a club for him to kick on, it's definitely at Borough, where there's going to be much more opportunities than Oxford. He was certainly a standout in the Oxford side that went down, and for Middlesbrough to get him is certainly a coup. Lincoln, on the other hand, as you mentioned, a very good unbeaten run at the back end of last season, winning for fun, and it seemed they carried it on in the Carabao Cup as well against the Championship side, so they definitely do have the capability to upset some sides in the division. But in terms of this, I feel like Middlesbrough will probably be a step too far for them. I'm going to say Middlesbrough 3, Lincoln 1. Now, for Norwich versus West Brom. Norwich with a very good performance in the Cup recently, and West Brom off the back of a rather lacklustre season last season, to be totally honest. But I do expect for them to bounce back this season. West Brom also had a very good result in the Cup as well, so I feel like this will be a very close one. And I think it'll be a narrow win, 2-1.
To who?
To Norwich.
Norwich. Yeah, I just didn't know which way I was putting that one because I forgot to write half of the results down. I'm an idiot. Norwich, I think, win this. They inspire me a lot more than West Brom do. Going into the new season, I think West Brom should be around about mid-table at worst, maybe at best. I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll wait and see. But I think Norwich. I'm tipping Norwich to have a very, very excellent season. Maybe I'm just don't do like this. Maybe I'm just getting excited over nothing, but I think Norwich start off with an absolute bang with a 3-1 win.
And now for Portsmouth v QPR.
I've nearly put this one 0-0 because it's just the most mid-table, lower-end mid-table championship game I can ever think of. But I just think QPR will sort their defence out this season. Obviously, at the start, they shipped 7 to eventual title winners, Coventry. So, but it's I don't think they'll get off to a winning start. I'm going to say 1-0 home win.
It's funny you mentioned mid-table because I looked at this game and I also thought this is the battle of mid-table. Both sides have generally been around each other in the table since Portsmouth went up a couple of seasons ago. And generally, between the two of these, except for that game at Loftus Road where QPR was immense, Portsmouth was atrocious, it's been a one-goal win, or one goal to decide it, or a draw. So, yeah, it's always been low scoring. But it's also an opportunity for both sides to start the season with 3 points. Both sides definitely have their vulnerabilities. And I was thinking a draw initially, but because this is at Fratton Park, I'm going to give Portsmouth 1 goal here. 1-0. Now, for Stoke versus Swansea, another mid-table game. Stoke with another underwhelming season last season. Swansea, I think they definitely have the players to potentially uh, challenge for the playoffs with an outside chance. And Stoke are definitely spending a lot of money to try and improve their squad. But will it be smart this time from Stoke? I believe Swansea still have Vipotnik. And while Vipotnik is still there, he is one of the best scorers in the Championship. I don't think you get many players better than Vipotnik. And I think he'll score at least 2 here. I'm going to say a 2-2 draw, though.
I feel like that's a lot of goals for Stoke. Maybe I've got a different outlook, but Swansea. The longer this transfer window goes on, and the longer Vipotnik stays at Swansea or just doesn't get sold, the more I fancy them to potentially reach the playoffs. Obviously, being down to 8th place now, weird decision or not, there's a great chance for clubs like Swansea. They've been down here equally as long as Stoke. Both came down together in 2018 now. So they've both had a lot of time in the Championship, and Stoke have had a lot of that time. Well, let's say all of that time in the bottom half. Obviously, Stoke won the league in September last year. I don't think they'll get off to a winning start this time. I'm going to say 0-1.
And now for Sheffield United versus Birmingham.
This is a difficult one, but then I remembered Birmingham and away from home last year. I don't think Sheffield United will be great this year. Again, if there was a time for them to go up, it was last season, and they were absolutely miles off it. So I'm going to say 2-1 home win, but not a sign of things to come for the Blades.
Yeah, I think Sheffield United last season was a bit underwhelming, and I don't think they've significantly improved, but I don't think Birmingham have significantly improved either, to be honest, in terms of the playing squad. The away form for Birmingham was the difference between playoffs and mid-table for them in the end. They sort of struggled towards like the middle to late part of the season, as they were in the bottom half for a good section of it. I do probably think Birmingham do sort out their away form somewhat this season, but when you're going to Bramall Lane, it's certainly not an easy start for your away form, is it? Because Sheffield United do find quite a lot of goals usually at Bramall Lane, and I think this will be an entertaining one. I'm going to go with a 3-2 Sheffield United win. Now for Watford versus Southampton. It's unstable versus the Spies. Watford left it late in the cup to score a win against Crawley, I believe. And Southampton, they're on -4. They're currently bottom of the league, but you don't see Southampton bottom of the league for too long. They had a very good win in the cup against Colchester, I believe. And you know what? They've scored 4 at Colchester. I think they'll score 3 at Watford with no reply.
Was it not 2-0 at Colchester? I think, 2 goals for Southampton. Whether Watford score or not is irrelevant because I think Southampton win this. It's the unstable club against the uncertain short-term future club. I'm unsure what's going on with this investigation, but I don't think Eckert should still have a job, personally, but here we are, he's still at the wheel, or at the bush, let's say, in this sense, but 2-0, Southampton win.
Yeah, it is 2-0. I was thinking of the West Brom game for some reason when they did win 4-1, so I stand corrected. Now, let's move on to the big one of this list, in my opinion, Burnley versus West Ham.
Well, it's Super Sunday, but in the Championship, which is probably why it's 4 o'clock on a Sunday. Burnley, West Ham. I'm going to be honest, it's going to be a bit of a messy game, I feel like. while Burnley don't have anywhere near as much quality as West Ham do anymore, I say anymore at the moment, I feel like it'll just be a bit scrappy. Both teams trying to make their mark, and it doesn't work out. Um, I'll be surprised if Burnley win, but I'm going to say 1-1. I just feel like it's not the ideal game for either side here.
I think with Burnley, it's always a low-scoring affair in a championship, especially at Turf Moor. But they do know how to get the job done. Burnley, they don't concede a lot. When they lose, they only concede like what 1, 2 at most. But this is West Ham we're talking about, and the players that they have, especially Bowen, staying for Championship football, it's just ridiculous. I do think West Ham will eventually in the season go and rip apart the league. And I feel like this first game against Burnley is the first test. I think if they win this game, they're already going to roll with it. And I think they will win this 1-0. Now, for the Welsh game on Monday night, or derby or rivalry, whatever people want to call it, we have Cardiff Wrexham. Cardiff straight back up from League One. Wrexham failing to go up last season. They're no longer back to back to back, and now they're back in the Championship for another season. And if Wrexham sort out their defence this season, I do think that they are a very good shout for playoffs, potentially promotion. Cardiff, on the other hand, I think they have the capability to be comfortable, but I feel like they need some improvements first. And I think this game will be a warning sign to Cardiff with a 3-1 Wrexham win.
Yeah, don't mind that. I'm gonna take a goal away from Wrexham. I was thinking adding 1 for Cardiff and then keeping the 3 for Wrexham, but I'm gonna say 2-1 Wrexham. I don't think Cardiff will be great in return. With Wrexham, the more I think about it, the more I'm a little bit. I'm not saying I don't want this to happen, because I do. But the more I'm starting to get a little bit concerned and maybe just considering like, oh, maybe is this the start of the end for Phil Parkinson's reign at the club? Because you never know if they don't progress. If they, let's say, finish 12th, I'm not sure the ambitious owners will want to stick with him next season. If they're showing signs of regression, then they don't want to take that chance. So could this be a failure for Wrexham? Don't know, but I'm saying 2-1 win.
And what is your score for this week?
Motorway, Norwich City.
So I did mention Lancashire earlier, and I did say he would have a good season. He had a good game in the cup. What a brilliant goal that was against Wrexham. It was a beautiful kick. And you know what? I back him to have another good game, with him being my score of the week for match day 1. Now, and we are back for another season. We shall see you for match day 2.